what he's talking about, shoot, because I'll make sure you feel it from the neck up. Don't get his problem. You can come closer to us. I want everybody to hear a conversation.
So
Okay.
so a lot of going back to the original conversation, a lot of the research that's being done on different college campuses. We know who the Israelites are. We know the different rabbis, and we call them rabbis, and different learned men that are African American, that are Hispanic, that are Native Indian, who is bringing out the research. And the disconnect that we have in our community is we are looking at Hebrew Israelism or Hebrew Israelite as the movement, but we're not researching what Hebrew Israelites were before One West, before the movement came, before Ben Ami. What did Hebrew Israelites or Black Judaism look like in the Americas pre that time? So now we have these amalgamations, right, of different cultural movements that make up what we see in Israelites today, right? So now, back then in the early 1800s, you know what we wasn't teaching? We wasn't teaching that Jesus Christ was black. We didn't have to.
Right.
We didn't have to. Like that wasn't a thing, right? But now since the movement has become more of this style of Hebrew Israelite, now we have to put up the posters and we have to show people the tribes. And you know, and there's nothing wrong with what we're doing or nothing wrong with, you know, trying to figure it out. Because we're all missing an element. But we do eventually have to come back to Hebrew culture or come back to Judaism as we portray it to be. Maybe not as other peoples will have it, right? And then you get a lot of European Jewry who know, again, they know who they are. Some of them even know how far back their lineage goes to conversion. What we don't have here is a pipeline to show people, hey, these are Hebrew Israelites. These are historically Jewish people that African Americans, right? We don't have that pipeline to let people know. It's kind of like we get caught up in the movement, and what happens to movements?
They stop.
They stop. So how long is the Hebrew Israelite movement in its current state going to last before we jump to something else? So what's going to sustain us?
Well, here's the thing. I heard everything you said, and everything you said was really good. And I'm just looking from my vantage point. You're saying, why don't we know? Why aren't we doing it the whole way? And this is my reason. I'm going to use the Bible to answer the question. This is Psalms 83. I'll start at the top. Keep not thou silence, O God. Hold not thy peace. Be not still, O God. For lo, thy enemies make a tumult that they hate thee, have lifted up thy head. So every nation that you've spoken of, they lifted their head, they hated us. Now they're above us. The white man's above us. The East Indian's above us. The Chinese man's above us. That's when you were speaking about how they were able to get in our book and create all these doctors. Oh, okay. Create all those doctors because they lifted their head above us and they have our power now. And we don't know who we are as a people. But this is the point right here. They take crafty counsel against thy people and consulted against thy hood and hidden. All these snares they got to keep us out of who we know we are. That's why we got to come out here with the signs. That's why we got to break it down like that. Because we've been so conditioned into thinking that we got a white Jesus and we can just come on. We've been so conditioned in this Christianity and this open religious nation that we've lost who we were. So that's why a reason why we have to come out here with the signs. And that's one of the reasons why I say this isn't a movement to me. This is just me explaining why it's not.
Okay.
They said, and this is verse 4. They have said, "Come and let us cut them off from being a nation." All these nations, United Nations, UN, we're not represented in there. They're in cahoots in keeping us hidden from what we really know, what we're supposed to be. So I don't think. Let me finish that off. They said, "Cut them off from being a nation, that Israel may be no more remembrance. They have consulted together with one consent. They are confederate against us. They know that they can keep this going if they keep us in subjugation and keep us in this childlike mindset. They understand that. So, and it goes into all the nations. Verse 6, the tabernacles of Edom, Ishmaelites, Moab, and the Hagarites. Gabal, Ammon, Amalek, Philistines, inhabitants of Tyre. Ashur also joined them, and they have hope in the lot of Shelah. So every nation is listed right there, and those are all the nations of the United Nations. So, and you said, I don't believe it's a movement, because I believe it's a move of God, and He's making everything. So I don't believe that it's a movement, and I don't believe that this will stop and we'll go to something else, because this is the Lord's measuring stick. Anytime any prophecy going around, we can read it throughout the book. He sends his prophets out. He sends his brothers to do the exact same thing we're doing. And every time that happens, though we go in Jeremiah. I was just reading that last night in chapter 33. Jeremiah was getting stoned. He was getting let's just read it. But you understand? I follow what you're saying.
My follow up to that would be.
And this is a good brother right here. I want y'all. This brother's not like causing no. He's a good brother. We're just having an open dialogue about something. This is a good brother right here.
Yeah, I am an Israelite.
Don't think he's fighting against anything. This is a good brother. Okay?
I'm just having a dialogue to see the differentiation between Hebrew Israelites in America as we see them today, as opposed to what they were in the past and the history that we have with certain rabbis like Mordecai Herman. This is our history, right? So my question to you would be, at what point do we say there are, and I'm just speaking with the African's perspective, the Hispanic perspective, the Native Indian perspective. At what point do we say they are just suffering cultural ills as we are here in America, right? Because we know that there's African Hebrews, Hispanic Hebrews, or Jews that live in the land of Palestine and the land of the state of Israel today, right? They're just suffering racism, right? Because who controls them, right? It's the European, it's all of the things, but colonialism is here, and it's been here, right? But we can't say that Hebrew Israelites are exclusive to these groups. Absolutely, it's more than that.
So you think it's more nations outside of those people?
Absolutely.
But then, you have to show the curses upon these people, because that's the measuring stick of God. That's how we determine who's God's people. It's not a DNA test. It's not even color.
Right.
We don't even look at it as color.
Right.
We look at it the who's culturally going through these curses in the book of Deuteronomy 28. So in my answer to that, now you have to show me anybody besides the blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans going through the curses of Deuteronomy 28.
Okay. Off rip in
get the phone.
Off rip, what we see, right, that's going on in Palestine, we know that there's ethnic Jews in Palestine that are not actually Muslim, or they're not actually Christian. We know that. Like, they're thousands of years, we know that they've been there and they were Jews before they got converted to these other religions. Like when I say, like, they're not Arab, but they look Arab, but they're not Arab. They know they're not Arab. They say they're not Arab. They don't identify. So what I'm telling you is there's this broad scope of us because we were scattered over the four corners. Now, you brought up something very great. You said, show me the curses that are upon these people. Curses are perpetual.
Yes, they reoccur.
So, depending on what part of the world this Jew was dispersed to, that determines also their condition as well. Because, okay, so for instance, we have these curses. Let's say African Americans, we fit the bill for every single curse of Deuteronomy 28. But you might have a Palestinian Jew or a Mizrahi Jew. He fits 3 or 4 curses. And he's going through that thing, and he's historically or ethnically a Jew. So,
how's a Palestinian a Jew?
I'm using Palestinian in this. I'm identifying the diaspora with where they are. So, like, we're Jews, but we are African Americans according to where we are. That's all I'm saying. I'm using so that we can understand to the people, like, speaking the common language. So there are Palestinians by birth or where they are right now, their condition, but they're actually Jewish people.
Well, that's okay.
Or Hebrew people,
Okay.
however you want
I
the
know
language.
you're speaking in.
Yeah, I'm just trying to speak
in parables. I get what you're saying. So that still though. Okay, I'm sure anybody can go with 3 or 4 curses, but who fix the totality of the curses? That's what we're going into. Sure, someone can say that their father wasn't in their life. I'm sure that happens in all nations, but totality wise, if we bring up all the curses, it's going to be obvious who these curses are on.
Mm-hmm.
It's not going. You can't sit here and fit these curses on the Palestinian man because he has his history. He knows where he goes back to. He can tell you where he goes back to. If I go to some random black person out here, they're not going to know. And that's the difference I'm trying to get you to understand. Like that Palestinian man can say, "Oh no, my people go back here. I go back there." You go to any black person who don't know anything, he's not going to have an answer for none of that. So that's where that's where I would have to.
So.
Hold on, let me read this. Let me get some Bible. This is Luke 21 and 24. Because I want to ask you this: and they shall fall by the edge of the sword, and thou shalt lead them away captive into all nations, right? And Jerusalem, the homeland where you're speaking of, shall be trodden down of the Gentiles until the times of the Gentiles be fulfilled. So who are the Gentiles that are in that land? And what time is it going to be? What time is it going to be?
100%. Before Christ quotes this, or before he prophesied, right? Who are the Gentiles that he's talking about in this context?
Well, this is future prophecy.
But he's talking about the destruction of the temple in 70 AD.
No, he's literally talking about the end times. He's literally talking about in the last days.
But I'm showing you that it's okay. In rap, it's a double entendre.
Yeah, I understand. There's twofold.
So when he's talking about this right here, we know that he's talking deliberately about 70 AD. Why? Because this same thing correlates with Matthew chapter 24 when he's talking about no stone will be left atop. He's talking about the Jerusalem will be encamped with an army. Who is that army? We know that the Roman Jewish war did take place. So we know that he was making a prophecy about the Roman Jewish war and the destruction of the temple.
Well, this is where I disagree because you can't show during that time we were in the land.
Not all of us.
But majority of us were there. The Jews were there. Jesus was there.
Not necessarily.
The Southern Kingdom was there. The Northern Kingdom wasn't there.
Okay, but how many tribes are in the Northern Kingdom? Well, according to your understanding.
Oh, there's 9. Okay,
9 or 10.
You can say 10. Well, yeah.
9 or 10.
Okay, that's fine. I know some brothers say 9 or 10.
So majority of Jews in the diaspora were not there because everything that they are talking about, especially with the disciples, they are going amongst these nations to bring Jews back. So even Judah and I would say Benjamin, we don't really know who Levi is because we know the Maccabean time period really wiped out the Levitical priesthood. We know that for a fact.
No, they didn't. There's no God. So you saying the Levitical priesthood got wiped out?
According to history, I'm not saying Levites got wiped out. Listen to what I'm saying.
I'm making sure
the order of the priesthood was wiped out by the Greeks hundreds of years before we get to this point. So what did the Maccabees get replaced with? The Pharisees and the Sadducees. Now, what do we know about the Pharisaical or order? We know in history, you can go and look this up. We know that there are known ethnic Romans who served as Pharisees. How do we know this? Who was Herod? He was the king of Judah. He burned the records of Jews so nobody would find out who this king that was supposed to be of the Jews would come. You believe that because you see that he sought Christ out, right? But this is an actual historical point. Herod is an Idumean. He is an Edomite who burned records and then came back and said, "Oh, I'm Jewish." We know that to be a fact. So the Herodian dynasty, anybody can Google this, is not Jewish. They're not Hebrew Israelites. This is already the amalgamation of foreigners coming to take over the land of Judah. And they had it since after that Maccabean period.
Okay. So
according to history.
Okay. So I heard you everything you said right there, but I'm gonna stay where we was at.
Yeah, go ahead.
I'm gonna stay where we was at because you made a point that this is not talking about future times. So let's read a little further. Okay. Mm-hmm. It says, let's just read verse 24 again. and they shall fall by the edge of the sword, and they shall be led away captive into all nations. At that moment in time, they were not led away into all nations. The northern kingdom was gone. I agree. The northern kingdom wasn't there, but the southern kingdom was still there. So we know that wasn't talking about that moment in time. And Jerusalem shall be trodden down of the Gentiles. Jerusalem at that moment in time wasn't trodden down with the Gentiles. It wasn't. They were in their land. Until the times of the Gentiles be fulfilled. And there shall be signs in the sun, in the moon, and in the stars, and upon the earth. Distress of nations. That was not going on at that time.
You don't think so?
No, it was not. With perplexity in the sea of waves roaring. Man's hearts failing for them for fear, for looking after those things which are coming on the earth, for the powers of heavens have shaken. When was all the men in the earth shaken with the fear of God? That was not going on. Hold on, let me finish what I was saying. And then shall they see the Son of Man coming in a cloud with a power and a great glory. So this has not happened yet. This is future prophecy because the Son of Man has not came yet. So that would be my argument to what you're saying.
So there is the Son of Man coming in the cloud, and then we have people who physically believe that the Son of Man will be here ruling in Jerusalem.
Stop right here. Bat starting to hurt.
You might have to restart it.
No, what'd you say?
I'm about to stop right here. My bat's starting to hurt.
Okay,
That's fine.
That's fine.
We got some good parts.
We got some fun.
But I want to tap into that, right? Because now we have to go in history where people.
But before you do that, you got to recognize that that's future prophecy. Like you got
when he prophesied it in that time.
Right, but you're trying to make it seem like it was going on at that time, and we can clearly see that it wasn't going on at that time.
So there was not distress of the nations.
All the nations weren't distressed. No, not at that time.
So here's my issue with certain doctrine, right? My issue with certain doctrine is when we talk about the nations in that context, we look at it as all the nations, the whole world. But then when we understand world or Eretz Israel, when we go and read the Isaiah, world without end, when we do certain things like that, right? We understand the world that he's talking about is the land of Israel and those around it. We don't quantify that with parts of Africa, or you get what I'm saying? We don't quantify it as the whole world because we know the word Eretz could mean the land of Israel. So what I'm telling you is the nations were shaken because we're dealing with the specific nations that they're dealing with. They did not travel to the whole world bringing this message. They traveled to Asia Minor. They traveled to parts of Rome, parts of Greece. They traveled within the Levant area, which is Jerusalem, right? So we know that when Jesus was on the earth, they did not even go amongst the other nations for a long period of time. Jesus only went around Judah, Samaria. These are lands of Israel. So even when we talk about where did Cornelius come from?
He's a Roman centurion from Caesarea.
Caesarea, but we know Caesarea was a Roman province in Israel.
Well, no, Caesarea was in Israel.
But it's a Roman province. That's why it's called Caesarea.
I mean, but it's still in Israel.
Yes,
in Israel.
That's the point that I'm trying to make.
Right.
So when you read the story, even in Christianity, they think that they're going to some far off land. It was right there.
Yeah, Christianity, they definitely think that. No, I Christians definitely believe that. But still, you're still in a pickle because
I'm not in a pickle.
You are because you're trying to make that in Luke 24 like it was going on at that time, and you can't substantiate that all the nations were shaken because the Most High is not having His second coming yet. So that and
what you just said. You said the Most High hasn't had His second coming yet.
Well, I mean, you know what I mean when I say that.
Okay.
Jesus Christ. I didn't want to say Yahweh.
Yeah.
His second coming hasn't came yet. So at that moment, all the world didn't know about Jesus because He was only in Jerusalem. He was only around it. He wasn't in Asia. He wasn't in Greece. He wasn't in those areas. He was only in His land, and He was with the Southern Kingdom. So everyone couldn't have known about it. So for you to add that to that, I would say it's problematic.
No.
I would say it's problematic.
No. So He said, and I want to get Matthew chapter 24.
But I'm staying in Luke because I'm gonna hold you there until you can prove to me that was going on at that time. Because then you would have to say that all the nations knew. Then God's second coming happened. That's a lot, and I didn't even keep reading down.
No, we understand that there's different periods of time. So sometimes when an Israelite is writing, he says the end, he could mean the end of the age. He doesn't necessarily have to mean the end of the world. So we know there's certain parts in history where it was the end of the age. And I'm saying in the context of this scripture, I'm not telling you that Christ is already physically coming up. That's not what I'm arguing. What I'm talking about in the context of these scriptures, the coming of the Son of Man was not in a physical form as you're saying. I understand what you're saying. The second coming. What I'm telling you is the coming of the Son of Man was the sign in heaven labeled as destruction to the second temple.
So there's
And we
two
saw
sons of
Joseph.
man. So there's two comings of man.
In the physical form, he already came once. He will come again in the physical form, according to your understanding.
Well,
But
what's
I'm
your
saying-
understanding? Because you're saying that, because my understanding, he came once already, right? Okay, and then he's come because he died, right? Okay, and then he's coming back to sit on the throne of David. So you're
That's
saying
physical.
So hold on. So wait a minute. So the first time he came wasn't physical, when everyone saw him and all the miracles he
What
did,
I'm
and he got put
telling
to
you
death.
is, what I'm telling you is the second coming thing that you're talking about. I'm telling you that you're missing this.
Well, no, I'm not mentioning it. I'm saying that he's got a second. He came once, and he's coming again. You're saying he came, and then there's a physical, and then there's a spiritual of him coming. No, Jackson, hold this.
Because there's Jews. There's Jews in his story that have written about the 70 AD. There's Jews in history
But
that's
do you understand what I'm
like,
saying?
I get what you're saying.
Okay, because to me, I'm taking it what you're saying, and to me, it sounds like you're saying that he's came again, and then there's a spiritual coming, and then there's another physical.
He had to judge. So when he died, when Israel was supposed to repent while he was here, he was given that message. Once he died and rose again, it was finished.
What do you mean?
So
What
now,
was finished?
Now Israel has to be destroyed for their disobedience. That's why they kept saying, repent, for the kingdom of heaven is at hand. Once Yahushua Jesus was raised up to the Father, what I'm telling you is abomination of desolation.
Okay.
That's what I'm saying. I'm not talking about the physical second coming of Christ. I'm talking about when he talks about the sign of the Son of Man in heaven and destruction came.
What is that? And how would you articulate that? What is the sign of the Son of Man coming in heaven? Give me an example.
According to like Josephus, right? Do you feel like Josephus is credible?
I don't. And I'll tell you, I explain to you why. Because you cannot show me an ancient manuscript of Josephus. You can't show me a Hebrew manuscript or a Greek manuscript of Josephus. That's the only reason I don't. And I'm not denying that the Vatican may have it. I'm not saying any of that. They may have the real book of Josephus. But I know as far as the one we have today, that you can't show me an ancient manuscript to back it.
This is why, and I'm going to get back to the point,
Okay.
but I low-key disagree with that point because you read the New Testament where there aren't original Greek manuscripts that we found that's in that Textus Receptus.
What do you mean? So you telling me? Is there a Greek New Testament? Is there one?
Yeah,
You may not. I just use this like earlier. I mentioned earlier in Isaiah 28:9 that with stammering lips with another tongue will talk to people. That's the only reason I use this. Otherwise, I would be speaking in Hebrew and Greek.
What I'm telling you is the way that you're saying the document is created. And let's say, are you going to take the position that it's a forgery?
What?
Josephus.
I would take the position that it's not. It don't have no
Tampered with.
I'm taking the position that is not real because there's no ancient manuscript, and I can, even though there might not be a KJV or what, I believe that's what you're saying. There is a Greek New Testament.
Let's do away with the KJV argument.
That's fine. We can do away with the KJV argument. That's fine.
No, I don't want to argue your version of the book.
Well, I don't.
What I want to say is, we know for a fact that like the Gospels are anonymous, but we don't sit here and turn around and say the Gospels aren't true because we don't have an original manuscript with Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John on it. And another thing too is not with their name scribed on it, brother.
What do you mean with their name scribed on it?
You don't know truly that the books were written by Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John.
Well, ultimately, it was all written by Christ. So
I've never heard that.
What do you mean? Everything's written through. He uses.
No. That's the first time.
Okay, so I'm just saying. Well, ultimately, it tells you the word spoke through God. He says, read it and write it on a book. So technically, this is all God's words. He's just using man to use it.
Mm-hmm.
So, but for you to say that just because the name's not written on there doesn't make it not legit.
Yeah.
Because you don't have anything on yours. You can't discredit mine when you don't have.
No. What I'm telling you is, first of all, Josephus is not mine.
Oh, okay. I thought you. I'm sorry.
Josephus is not mine. I just asked you, did you agree with the subscribe to the scholar? Because if you don't subscribe to it, it's hard for me to argue a point that you don't subscribe to. Right? That's like arguing with a Jew that don't believe in the New Testament. If you don't subscribe to it, you can't go to the New Testament and prove anything.
Well, that's
Not if they don't subscribe. You get what I'm saying? You can't prove anything to a Muslim because you don't subscribe to the Quran. So if they try to show you something in the Quran, you're going to be like, bro, I don't even subscribe to that. No way. There's nothing you can show me about Muhammad that could influence nothing I got going on.
actually, I would go in the Quran and show them how their book is trash. So that's what I would do.
But you get what I'm saying?
I get what you're saying.
Yeah.
I get what you're saying.
So I want to go Matthew chapter 24. And you
Okay.
can turn it in KJV.
Okay.
So
Okay.
I read the ESV because it's just a little bit.
I got an ESV in my
Yeah.
bag. I deal with all translations. I don't
Okay.
just stick to. I deal with the NLT, the ESV, the Amplified. We use every one of them. That way, we get a better understanding on what we're saying.
Mhm.
So go ahead. Would you say you go Matthew?
I just want to put a little context
Go ahead.
to these prophecies in the same thing that we're
Do
reading.
you believe in the New Testament?
Do I believe in the New
Uh-huh.
Testament? Like, do I believe every word in the New Testament is right and exact? No, but I do believe that there are Jews that were influential, that were a part of writing the New Testament to make it true. I believe Christ is true, or Yeshua. I call him Yeshua. You call him Yahushua. I believe that historical figure is true. I believe all of those things. There are certain parts that I know for a fact was altered, and you agree that was even altered by Romans.
Well, I would say added. Like the Johannine Khan was added. I won't say the book is altered because the reason I say that is because I can go to Greek manuscripts and see the same thing. I can literally read it in Greek. So I know I have it in a foreign, or not foreign, I have it in an older text. That's my point.
And the point of why I say altered, right? You don't believe in the virgin birth, but it's there. But if I go to Codex Sinaiticus, it's not there.
But that's how women read it. I believe they're reading it incorrectly. Like,
But it's there. You see why they believe what they believe.
No, I don't. I believe that they just misreading it and they just don't. The scriptures, but the scriptures are for everyone. The scriptures tells you in Psalm 447 and 19 that the only in Deuteronomy 29 that the secrets are only revealed to us. So when I hear other people say other things, I take it with a grain of salt because I know the understanding was given to them. Okay. So I so they can look at a verse and it may say that to them. It may, but I look at it different because I understand God talks in parable. Okay. So that'd be my sense on it.
All right, let's pull up Matthew chapter 24. We're gonna start at verse 15. It might be a long read, but
No, you're good.
yeah. And I'm not trying to refute the second coming of the Christ or nothing like that. That is not this discussion, just to gauge where people are, might be confused, or we might have caused confusion in our back and forth, because you know how people
Israel, we know how Israel
We
is.
know how it's-
This is just a dialogue, and we're gonna put it up so you can take information from both of
dialogue.
us. It's just a dialogue.
I'm just trying to show and prove that when you read Luke 21 and you read Matthew 24, these are the congruent stories, and that we're talking about the end of the age and not necessarily the end of the world. That's the argument here, right? So when you see the abomination of desolation, or do you want to read KJV for Israel?
You got it. You
All
can
right.
read it, and
Yeah,
like I
so
said, it doesn't matter.
so when you see the abomination of desolation spoken of by the prophet Daniel standing in the holy place, let the reader understand. Then let those who are in Judea flee to the mountains. I want to put a pin there.
Okay.
When was the abomination of desolation?
Hold on. What verse you in?
Verse 15.
And you're reading the ESV, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Matthew 24, verse 15. It just, according to what your understanding is, it's not a right or wrong. Israel, we all trying to get this thing together.
And it's You said when was this? I'm saying it's not happened yet.
So the abomination of desolation hasn't happened yet.
No.
So the second temple wasn't destroyed in 70 AD.
I mean, it was destroyed, but I don't think
that's the
saying,
abomination of desolation because in Daniel we're talking about a physical temple being desolate. We're talking about Antiochus Epiphanes coming in, and what Jesus is saying, like Daniel prophesied, when Antiochus came in and destroyed it, so it shall be during this time period. So he's just making a reference to Daniel, showing what is it predicted. Let's keep reading. It says, then let those who are in Judea flee to the mountains. Let the one who is on the housetop not go down to take what is in his house, and let the one who is in the field not turn back and take his cloak. And alas, for women who are pregnant and for those who are nursing infants in those days, pray that your flight may not be in winter or on Sabbath.
And just so we understand, you're saying this is
happening because I'm predicting. I'm not predicting anything.
Okay.
Christ is predicted in this particular context. I'm not saying there's not a second coming or whatever. I'm saying in this particular context, he's talking about destruction and judgment coming to the house of Israel via disobedience.
What is verse 19? How does it read in yours?
Verse 19 says, and alas, for women who are pregnant and for those who are nursing infants in those days.
In those days. So what days are those?
So Jesus died before 33 years old, around that, right? So he's prophesying something that's going to take place, what, 40 years from now?
No, this is, to me, is future. Go ahead.
So Jesus is talking around 30-ish AD.
Because you gotta understand, because right here it says the coming of the Son of Man. Like this is future. This is future. To me, I'm just hearing you out, because to me this is future. And go ahead. I don't want
it says, pray that your flight may not be in winter or on a Sabbath.
Okay.
For then there will be a great tribulation, such as has not been from the beginning of the world until now. No, and never will be.
So
now,
you're saying this has happened already. There's already been a time in the world. It's already passed. Like this moment, this moment right here, where it's saying, as such as not since the beginning of the world to this time, nor ever shall be. You're saying this moment is past already.
Because guess who he talked to? Guess who he's talking to? Judeans. So we know that after these events are going to happen, the children of Israel have not made it ever back to their land since 70 AD, ever. And we both agree on that. We know that the state of Israel is not the true Jerusalem that's in this book.
Right, and if you have that understanding,
the destruction of the temple happened, and it never ever will be a time like that again.
So when are we gonna be back in our land?
When the Most High decrees it so. No man know the day or the time.
How's that gonna happen?
How is it gonna happen? What do you mean?
How are we gonna get put physically back in our land because the scriptures say the Most High is gonna do it. So now I'm confused on how we're gonna get there.
So we're human. We're human beings. So let's say Hamashiach in the physical comes back, right? Hamashiach, all he got to do is declare those Jews in North America, those are Jews, and they need to come back. They have the right to pilgrimage back to their homeland. And what can we do? We're gonna get on planes. We're human beings, man. Technology is advanced.
But the scriptures don't say that. The scriptures, the Most High said He's gonna do it.
That is him doing it. That is him doing it. When Cyrus delivered the Israelites back into the land, this is a Gentile. The Most High said he did that. That's what I'm saying.
But you're saying this happened already.
I'm about to show you.
Okay, go ahead.
And it says, and if those days had not been cut short, no human being would be saved. But for the sake of the elect, those days will be cut short.
Now the elect.
Who are the children of Israel in Judea now.
But who is elect? Like, what? You know you have to be chosen to be the elect, right?
Yeah.
The elect are the 144,000 and the people who get to see the second coming, or people who get in the kingdom. So now that we understand that, so you're saying the elect are sealed already?
No. So like in the New Testament, and correct me if I'm wrong, like in Peter and Jude and stuff, when they make reference to the elect lady that's dispersed over the four corners of the earth, I'm thinking the election, or the people according to his election, are the children of Israel.
Right, but it's saying literally, it says, listen to read what it's saying. It says, but for the elect's sake, the elect are the ones who endure to the end. The elect are the ones who get chosen by Christ, who get the crown, who get the white stone.
Okay.
Those are the elect. So you're saying these people are the elect right here?
Okay, let's read it.
You want to continue? Go ahead.
Then if anyone says to you, look, here is the Christ, or there he is, do not believe it. For false Christs and false prophets will arise and perform great signs and wonders, so as to lead astray, if even possible, the elect. We know this happened in history too.
So wait a minute. Okay.
Yeah, like there were different so-called messiahs. They claimed to be the Messiah and led Israel astray. We know that for a fact.
Okay, but my problem with what you're saying is that The elect, we know the elect. If we go to Revelations, the elect are the ones who endure to the end. You are. What is the?
So
These people aren't the elect, right here.
did they not endure to the end when they were getting slaughtered by Rome?
No, Christ. Okay, then this is the problem.
Do you mean so we got two different understandings of end?
We do.
Yeah. So that's what we're going to.
Because my understanding is Christ is coming back and He's choosing His elect. You're saying that the elect were chosen in 70 AD, and then we still got.
I don't look at it the same way. But let's not get into who we think the 144,000 is, because we'll lose footing on what we're actually trying to argue on.
No problem. So can I read verse 24? Because I'm staying right where you're at.
Yeah. We can. You can. And for Israel, you can finish reading it in King James.
Go ahead.
No, you can finish reading it in King James for Israel.
Okay, come. So this is verse 22, and I just want everybody to understand why I have the understanding that I have. Mm-hmm. So in accepting those days, he's saying these days have happened. I don't believe that. Should be shortened. So meaning the captivity of Judah and Israel should be shortened. That's what it's talking about. There should be no flesh saved, but for the elect's sake. Then if the elect's already passed, then what are we doing this for? Why are we here? Like, we're literally doing everything in vanity if this has happened already. Verse 23. Then if any man shall say unto you, lo, there is Christ, or there, believe it not. During that time, nobody was saying that there was no fake Christ or major fake Christ like there is today. Like today, we can see all these people who call themselves like
you have to research it.
Well, I'm saying the brother Yaju, he's one of the brothers who calls himself Jesus Christ.
You remember when Paul went up to the Romans and they said, "Aren't you that Egyptian?"
Right.
A lot of people mistake that as his color identity. That's how we teach it.
Well, it's not. Well, we know Egyptians are black people.
But the Egyptian that they were talking about, because he was the leader of this sect called the Nazarenes, or the Believers of the Way, they thought he was the Egyptian that was in Israel during that time period, leading Israelites astray. You can go Google it and look. I promise, I'm not tripping. Like you can look. That's history. So you got history, and then you got a historical book that's telling you about history. So you got to look at both
I would disagree with the understanding, but I mean that's your understanding.
We can disagree to disagree.
We agree to disagree. But
when you read down in verse 34 is where we're going to get to.
I want to read 24 because it says, "For there shall be arise false Christ and false prophets." So you saying that was going on at that time?
Absolutely. This is what we would call a messianic age.
Okay, and thou shalt show great signs and wonders, insomuch that if it were possible, they shall deceive the very elect. So you're telling me there was false Christ at that time showing great signs and great wonders.
They were sorcerers.
Okay,
it's written in history.
Okay, I'll give you that. And so they deceived the very elect, who we know in Revelations that the elect are when God's second coming comes back. But you're saying this now. So let's go down. You said okay. So let's go to 20. It says immediately after the tribulation of those days. So now after the tribulation. So now after those days, let's see if this is going on. Shall the sun be darkened, and the moon shall not give light, and the stars shall fall from heaven. So, and the powers of the heavens shall be shaken. What does this verse mean?
So, this is a metaphor for great kingdoms. So, when you talk about, first of all, let's start here. I can show you in the book of Hebrews that the kingdom of heaven can't be shaken. So, the same heaven in this context is not the same heaven that we know as the kingdom of Christ, right? This is talking about world's kingdoms. So, we know at this time there were world kingdom shaken. So when it talks about stars falling from heaven and stuff like that, this is just a metaphor for these kingdoms about to be destroyed. And we see that between the Roman and Jewish wars. But let's keep going.
Okay,
that's my understanding. That don't have to be yours.
Fine. Yeah. So I'm going to read that again, and y'all take his understanding. I'm not even going to battle it. Immediately after.
Do you think the sun will physically be darkened? Like
no, I believe it's talking about their knowledge and what they understand.
Okay, absolutely. So you understand that to be a metaphor?
Yeah, I understand.
Okay, that's cool.
But the stars shall fall from heaven. That's Trump. Those are all those people who run things now.
And I don't have to disagree with
Right. Yeah. And the powers of heaven shall be shaken. And then shall appear the sign of the Son of Man in heaven. What does that mean?
Well, it depends on what it meant for in the Jewish context or the Hebrew Israelite context during this time.
I don't know what you mean. Because we understand this just so clearly. We understand that this is the second coming of man. Okay, the sun rises the sky, and he's going to put everything back in its righteous place. I want to know what you think.
So the sign of the Son of Man coming to heaven, you believe there's going to be a physical rain, or do you believe that was spiritual?
No, I believe it's going to be a physical rain.
So when he cracks the ground, so when he cracks the cloud, right, you believe flesh and blood will now be.
Flesh and blood is here now.
What I'm saying is, Jesus Christ or Yahweh Shai Yeshua, he's coming in flesh and blood here.
Yes, he's coming. He's coming in flesh and blood.
Ah.
That's why his clothes are going to be dipped in blood, dripped in blood for all the killing.
I get that. So now, but then flesh and blood can't enter the kingdom of heaven. So when he is, that's a whole doctrine thing.
Well, he's not entering. He's coming. You're
No, what I'm saying, even
things.
what I'm saying is, when he comes back that second time, I can say it's physical. I will agree with you that it's physical. What I'm saying is, this sign of the Son of Man happens. So let's keep reading.
Okay. And the signs in this verse 30. And then shall appear the sign of the Son of Man in heaven. And then shall all the tribes of the earth mourn.
Absolutely.
And so all the tribes of the earth mourn during that time?
Absolutely.
But listen, brother, the northern kingdom wasn't there, brother. So how are all of the now you're in a pickle.
No.
So now how are all of the tribes mourning with northern kingdom? Issachar, Naphtali, Zebulon, they wasn't there.
I'll let the scripture answer for you. So
I'm asking you before we get there. How were all the tribes mourning and they all wasn't there? We just went into a big dialogue about how they all wasn't there.
yeah, so they were scattered, right? So they could have been scattered in Caesarea. They could have been scattered in Asia. They could be scattered in places close by to where this setting is taking place. But I'm dealing with the tribes of the earth right here in this context is in Judea. So that's why I want to keep reading.
But it says all the tribes.
I understand.
All the tribes.
I understand that. Understand, but even when we say world without end, we know, like I keep telling you, we understand that was that world, and we know that Israel is the world to be saved. So that's why I'm saying it's different meanings, but So let's keep reading. I just want to get this understanding.
And the earth born, and they shall see the Son of Man coming in the clouds. What does that mean?
So this sign that he said, the sign of the Son of Man, is coming in the clouds. Now you don't agree with Josephus. I can't really give you his eyewitness account, but he said Jews saw this.
Just give it for them.
Okay, so you can go study this, and me and the brother agree that it might be some faulty manuscripts in Josephus. We can agree with that. But if you go back, Josephus talks about the time during 70 AD that he knew it was divine judgment from Yahweh or Yahuwah, whatever, Yahweh. It was divine judgment because they saw great armies in the heavens. Go look this up. Go search it. You don't have to believe it, but Jews testified, go to Josephus, around that time that they saw the army in heaven, right, which will be a sign, right? They saw this army in heaven, and then boom, the destruction of the temple came. Go look that up. So we can't argue that just right now. Just go look it up for your own understanding, and Most High willing, we'll all get understanding.
Okay, all praises. Like I said, me and this brother, we ain't in strife with one another.
Yeah. I'm an Israelite.
We're just giving our understandings. Like we're just giving our understandings. So, and then y'all can determine how y'all want to decipher.
Yeah.
So okay, now okay, and shall the Son of the Man cometh in the clouds of heaven with power and great glory. So how is that? So how is he going to do that how's he coming in the sky with power and great glory?
Well, we know.
What's he going to do?
When we know in the spirit, this Son of Man that you're talking about, according to the understanding, this Son of Man is now in a elevated place. He's not a human being where he was when he was crucified. So he has angels. He can send things. Y'all also believe that he helped create heaven and earth. So this Son of Man got dominion over all of this. Does he not? So he can do whatever he want to do. If he say send pestilence in the land from the heavens, he can do that right now. He's doing it. Okay, so that's I don't want us to get confused. I'm not saying again, Israel, that there won't be a physical second coming. We're not even arguing that. We're arguing is when Israel got judged in Matthew chapter 24, is he talking about the end of the world, or did he talk about the end of the age? That is the discussion. Okay. So me and this brother agree on a lot more than you think.
Right. Yeah. I mean, we wouldn't. They know me on my channel. They know I'd be going crazy. They know.
And he will send out his angels, right?
Okay. And in verse 31, he shall send his angels with a great sound of a trumpet, and they shall gather together his elect. So now, so you're saying Christ came and the angels and they gathered all the elect.
I want to keep reading.
Okay. But hold on, before how it demonstrate that? Demonstrate.
Yeah.
Give me a synopsis.
I can't understand the heavenly things. And like when I say that,
Okay,
what I'm saying is I can't tell you 100% exactly it happened this way because I didn't live that way. I'm going based off the scripture. So let's keep reading. And it says, from the fig tree, learn its lesson. As soon as its branches becomes tender and puts out its leaves, you know that the summer is near. So also when you see all these things, you know that he is near at the very gates. Truly I say to you, this generation will not pass away until all these things take place.
All right, then. So, question. Said this generation, what generation is this? Shall not pass till all these things be fulfilled.
Well, I have to ask you this, brother, before I answer that. How long is a generation according to the Bible? Is it not 40 years?
It can. I mean, it can vary.
But generations is usually 40 years, right? From the time of David to the coming of Christ. It's usually about 40 years.
If for the sake of argument, yes.
Okay.
We'll go with that.
So if we are going with the chronological timeline of when we think Christ was born and his death, we're around 30 AD at this point. Okay? When did the destruction of the temple happen? Within the generation, within the 40 years of the people he was speaking to.
It says till all these things be fulfilled.
Uh-huh.
So all the things were fulfilled during that time?
No. All these things that he spoke on before. This is a sermon he's giving. He's not saying all things. He just ran it down to you. This war is going to happen. Judah is going to be in. So he's not talking about all these other things. In this context, he's talking about deliberately the destruction of the temple, Judah being captivated by a foreign nation, the Gentiles triding it down for so many years. So he's not talking about every prophecy. He's specifically dealing with the destruction, the abomination of desolation.
Okay.
That's my point.
Understanding. Verse 35, heaven and earth shall not pass away, but my word shall not pass away. Verse 36, but of that day and hour knoweth no man. Knoweth not the angel. So, but hold up. But in that day and hour, no man. What day? So
the destruction.
So you're saying that during it, so what day? So in Acts 1:6, when it's saying that the Father only knows the time of my second coming, what day is that?
Symbolism, right?
Okay,
so hold on. So can I explain that for the crowd?
You can.
I do not believe that this so-called Son of Man or Christ figure that we're talking about, I do not believe when he said that, he meant that he literally did not know. I think that he was given a similitude or speaking in a parable because you don't really know. We didn't have calendars like this, right? Do you know when Sabbath comes, or do you look at the moon to observe it? Right. So it could be on Saturday, it could be on a Wednesday. So no man could pinpoint the day or time this will happen. But when you see these signs that he just preached to you, that's how you know it's near, right? So they didn't say the kingdom of heaven is right. It said it's coming. It's at hand. It's near to you. You get what I'm saying? So that's my understanding of this. Yeah.
Okay, and we that's fine.
And we can wrap that up. But one thing I want this brother to do. And I want him to do this sincerely. We're gonna study, and when Trees gets on their Thursday night studies, or
you come on my channel too.
I don't want to come on the channel.
Oh, okay. Check. Okay.
Because I believe that God is telling us that we speak to certain different people, right? Okay. So you have your congregation, and a man should not build on another man's foundation.
Well, no, I mean just to have the dialogue.
I don't think we need the dialogue now. This is what I need you to do. As a teacher, as a learned man in Israel, I want you to then go and teach your congregation and the people on live so that we can have a better understanding. And I'm just going to watch. I'll be in the comments. I'll comment certain things, probably send you some links through Chief. But I want you to then, what we discuss here, just teach it so that I may have some understanding in a humble fashion.
Okay. No problem. No problem. And brothers ain't gotta argue just because we don't disagree.
Yeah.
Just because we disagree on slight things, a few things, just a few things. Like brothers can have these kind of conversations, man. And what's your name, brother?
My name is Brother Tony.
Give me your handles and all, so they know to go.
Yeah. I don't really have Facebook anymore, but you can go on Instagram and you can follow my page. I do a lot of speaker and communications training. So it's GUNN, GUNN .GV. GV stands for Good Visionary. So it's GUNN, GUNN .GV, and that's how you can reach.
Oh, explain to them about what you do, but so they know you, so they don't think you're just some crazy. Tell them what you do. Like,
so for my occupation, I'm a product manager, but what I do on my spare time with Rabbi Dr. Walter Isaac on the University of Tennessee campus and a lot of the other students, we actually come out and we study. We're doing research, bringing this light of who the 12 tribes are actually. So understanding that African Americans do have a claim to this heritage, right? This is not coming out of the blue. This didn't come by just a movement, right? This came way before Africans that came here on ships. They preserved their Hebrew names. We know that they were Jews, and a lot of us descend from those Jews. Not everybody that is black is Israelite or Jewish or whatever, but we do understand that there's a great majority of Igbos, Ashanti, all kinds of stuff that come out of West Africa who claim to be Jews, who are Israelites that came over here, and we are the descendants of those people. So that's a lot of the research that we're doing. We have different books out and stuff like that under Dr. Isaac. So look him up, Rabbi Walter Isaac, and he's Dr. Isaac. So look him up from the University of Tennessee. He's a great rabbi from the Church of God and Saints of Christ.
All praise to the Most High, man. Call all Yahweh Bashim Mashiach, Wamalak Yahweh Shai. We do this in the name of the only begotten Son, who the world only calls Jesus Christ. All praise to the Most High, man. Hey, I appreciate that.
Yes, sir.
Hey, love, brother.
Yeah,
hey,
love.
I'm gonna see you out here again, ain't I?
100%.
Okay, all praise to the
I'll
Most
be
High.
out here
Cut it
too.
up. Okay. I don't know what happened there.